The Little Flowers community came about not by design, but because we had started building relationships with our neighbors through a used bookstore that we opened and wanted to just find a place to connect with neighbors. And as we opened the bookstore and started building those relationships, we found that we started being invited into their homes and we invited them into ours. And pretty soon we were getting together regularly for meals. And sure enough, whenever you're together like that, someone shares a need and we talk about it and support each other, pray about it. Then someone pulls out a guitar and we start singing songs. Before you knew it, we were getting together consistently a couple times a week. And a few of the members approached me one day and said, "Hey, I think we're a church, will you be our pastor?" So as we were forming as a church, we knew that to connect with our neighbors meaningfully in the inner city, we had to present Christianity in a way that they would understand. Not something they may be familiar with through their experiences with the traditional church, but something that would connect in their culture, in their context. And that's what ultimately led me to St. Francis of Assisi. Before I knew it, Francis had brought me back to Jesus in a way I hadn't anticipated. And that was the greatest gift Francis was to me and I believe to our community of Little Flowers. But there's something we can take away from Francis. It is not that he is a perfect example of sainthood that can be held up on high, that we can hope to emulate, but rather it's in those imperfections that Francis offers his best example. We can't dismiss him then. We can't say, well, he is so super spiritual, I could never achieve that. So I can honor him, I can praise him, but I can never try to imitate him. Because in the same way we do that with Francis, we do that with Jesus. We say, oh, Jesus was amazing. He loved people, but he was God. So I can worship God, but I shouldn't try to follow him. I shouldn't try to follow his example. Francis was the perfect example of someone who said, I'm going to follow Jesus with everything I have, making mistakes all along the way, but his single-minded devotion to Jesus meant that the gospel just burst forth through his life and through his relationships and changed everyone he came in contact with. And I think the same gospel life, the same kingdom life is available to us if we're willing to be fools for Christ and make those same mistakes. When I was researching the life of St. Francis of Assisi, one thing that stood out to me was that he found the Sermon on the Mount to be the center of the gospel. He found it to be the place where you discovered Jesus the most powerfully. I began to examine what it meant for me to be a Christian in the way of Jesus. And one of the things that immediately became clear to me in doing this is that it wasn't a call simply to individuals to follow Jesus in some personal piety, but it was a way for his people to come together and follow him. In fact, it was a way for his people to come together and become his body. In order to be Christians, we have to die to ourselves and be resurrected as Christ's body. Therefore, the resurrection life is by its very nature communal. It is about community, it is about being together. And that is probably the most beautiful and difficult aspect of following Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount. That is why the book is called The Cost of Community, because sometimes we romanticize community, just like we romanticize Jesus, just like we romanticize St. Francis and monasticism. But the truth is, the beauty of community, the beauty of the gospel, and the beauty of Jesus Christ is found where the highest price is paid, where we lay down everything for the sake of God and for his kingdom to emerge in our lives.